everyone, Exeterrider here. Thank you very much for coming along again and watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate watching you watching all my videos, so thank you very much for that. This week it's a video on the Honda NC750X. It's a bike that I love, and I've got one problem with it, and that is the seat. I'm hoping that this this workshop video is going to be a fix for that. So if that's something that you're interested in, then it's coming right up. Okay, so let me show you the problem with this seat first. So what we've got is we've got a typical motorbike fashion. We've got a wider part at the back and a thinner part at the front. When you get on an NC750, the bones in your bum naturally want to sit around this area here, okay? So you're kind of up against the, what would be the tank, but it's a storage thing on this bike, the frunk as it's called. But you naturally want to sit here. Because it's the thin area, you do get uncomfortable pretty quick. And what you do is you get uncomfortable here and you think, oh, I want to go to the most comfortable part of the seat, which is back here. Problem being is, as you can see here, it's on quite a slope there towards the what would be the tank. It's the storage compartment there, so it's on a heck of an angle. So you end up sitting here and then going back here for comfort, but then that pushes you forward, so you end up going back here again. You just end up shuffling from one to the other. So what I've got to try and do is to try and lift this front end here. There's been lots of other people who've tried to do this in different ways, so I'm hoping I'm going to do it a different way. It is an improvement if you use the rubber door stops, which people have done before. They've put them underneath the seat, which jacks up the front end, but it does leave a gap here. And also it is just an improvement. It's not. It's still not a fix. I want to try and do something which will make this seat all day comfortable. That's my plan. The other option is Shad do make an aftermarket seat. Apparently it's pretty good. It's certainly better than this one here. But again, it's still not all day comfortable. It's a massive improvement, but it's still not quite fully comfortable. So what I plan to do is, I've got to lift up the front end. I'm going to do that in a different kind of way that than anyone else has done. But I also want to move the seat forward. All right, so I want to lift it up this end and forward more towards the this area here. Now to start to do that, I want to try and use what Honda have given me. So let's open up the back. Oops, wrong one. Let's open up the back first, like so. Now that's to get this rider seat off here. We've got two bolts. We've got one here, 10mm bolts they are, and one on the opposite side. All right, so let's get them off a minute. Right, so now we'll be able to get underneath the seat now, and that's what it looks like underneath. So what we've got here is, this is where the seat clips into the front to avoid it lifting off, and then we've got this rubber bung here and another one here. As I say, people have actually put it on bigger bungs before, and it is better, but it's still not 100%. I really am trying to get this seat as best as I can. So that's what we've got there. Alright, so what I wanted to do was to utilise what Honda has already given us. Now you might be looking at this thinking, right, okay, so we can do what other people have done and put an extra hook there. No, I want it up higher than that. And I also want to push the seat forward. So first thing that Honda have given us to play around with is these two bolts here. So what I've done was I've wanted to see how long they were and how much play it gives us, which in fact they are surprisingly long. So that got my mind thinking on what I need to do with these bolts. That's fantastic. So right, so that's what Honda have given us to play with. Okay, so what I was thinking is I went to the local steel factory and they had some industrial racking, which is this stuff here, which is galvanized as well, which is what I need. This is 40mm ish, yeah, about 40mm by 20mm. Alright. So what I plan to do with this is to cut slots in it around the centre support here and then slot it in to underneath the bolts. And what that will do is the rubber bungs underneath the seat will now sit on that 40mm higher than where they were before, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get cutting the metal and you'll see exactly what I mean. Okay, so one thing I don't want to do with this is to sacrifice the seat height too much. It is going to make a difference if I jack it up. At the moment, when I'm sat on the bike, as you can see, I'm as I say, I'm kind of sat here, and in fact I'm already uncomfortable. Forget about the belly, it's nearly Christmas time, so I can get away with that. But when I sit back here, this is where I'm comfortable, but already it's trying to push me forward, which is really irritating. So come back to the normal riding position here. Now when I lift this up, you know, another 40mm or so, then it's going to sacrifice my standing position when I'm idling. So at the moment I can put my feet flat right on the floor at the moment, no problem at all. When I lift this by 40mm, obviously that is going to have an impact. That's something which I'm willing to sacrifice actually. I'd rather be sort of on the balls of my feet when I come to a stop than be uncomfortable for the rest of the time. So for me, that's a sacrifice I'm fine dealing with. At the moment, the seat is, bearing in mind it is on the side stand at the moment, it's about, to the centre of the seat, it's about 865 up to the seat. When the bike is stood up, it's got a normal height of about 805, something like that. So bear in mind it is on the side stand. So yeah, if we base it on 865 for now, and at the end what I'll do is I'll measure it again, and we can see how much higher the seat height is actually. Not forgetting though, my plan is to actually lift this seat up on the front, but it will actually, with what I've got planned, it is actually going to drop down at the back a bit. So it's a bit of a double whammy on that, in that respect. Okay, so just on a side note, while I remember, this is quite a risky project actually in some ways, because I've got to cut the seat at some point, which is going to be interesting. Now that obviously can easily go wrong. I mean, when this moves up a peg or two, I've literally got to cut the front end off and reupholster it. It's not my specialist subject, that. I have had one priced up, a new stock seat, just in case I do get it wrong, and they want £260 for it. So that is something which I don't want to go down that road. If I wasn't going to be doing this project, then I would be buying a new aftermarket seat. There's a lot of good ones on the market, at the moment. My issue with it is that there's nowhere where I can actually try them. I'd much prefer just to buy a bolt-on aftermarket seat, but if I can't try it, what I don't want to do is spend 350 quid or 400 pounds on a seat that I may not like. So hence why I'm doing this project. I'd much rather try and adjust this one, because at the end of the day, as long as I can try and get my butt on the back there, sat happy, then I'm on a winner. You know, that would be absolutely fine then. And it's going to cost me probably no more than £10–15. So that's why I'm doing this, and it's why I'm not buying an aftermarket seat. I'd much rather spend £10 or £15 and give this a go, and see if I can make it work. If I can't make it work, I haven't lost anything anyway, because I'll just have to, do what I was going to do and buy an aftermarket one. So anyway, hopefully this will help you as well. And if you've got one of these bikes and you're in the same predicament with being slightly uncomfortable or quite uncomfortable, then you can give it a go. So hopefully this will help you. Okay, so first of all we need to measure the width of the material that we need to cut, which is 168mm. Transfer that over to your piece of metal, make a mark, square it off, and then get ready for cutting. So in this case I haven't got the vise set up, so I'm just going to rest it on the side, G-clamp it to the piece of my router table there, and get ready for cutting. Goggles on. The disc I'm using isn't quite deep enough to go right through, so I'm just going to bend the last bit off like so. You can use a hacksaw for this as well. Then I'm going to take it over to the bench grinder and grind off all the rough edges, or you can use a file for this as well. Okay, so that's all softened off. I now need to cut around the bolts on the left hand side, the center support and the right hand bolt. So to do that, get your material, put it up against it and get a dry white pen or a permanent pen and just mark out where you need to slot. Get your material, clamp it down and then start cutting again.
Okay, get some pliers and start bending out the pieces that you've cut. This is where the center support is going to be. Then we got the slot for the right hand bolt. And then the slot for the left hand bolt. Back over to the bench grinder, and again take all the bird edges off, make it look pretty. Put a file to it and just get rid of the finer points. And then let's see if it's going to slot on. So you see where the slots are there, and now I'm just going to push it into where it needs to go. Hopefully it will fit. It looks good. Then start doing the bolts up. So this is on the right hand side. The bolts don't really sit flat onto the metal work there, but it'll be fine. Okay, so check it's nice and tight. Is he happy? Yep. Alright, it's not that exciting. Okay, now you need to go over and get your stock seat, and you'll see two washers at the back on the left and right hand side. What we need to do is push them out like so, and then push them in the opposite way. All this will make sense in a second. Right, that's the first side done. Now the second side, we do exactly the same. Out and push it round the other side. Okay, so now we want to get the seat over to the bike, and you'll see the left hand side and the right hand side where the original bolts went through. So what would happen before is the center support would fit in first, and then you push it down onto the bolts and put the two bolts in through there. However, what we want to do now is to get that back end down further. So this time we're going to put the seat in front of those bolts, and now it's pushed down even more. We're going to sort this gap out afterwards in due course. Okay, so that's the first part of the seat mod done. Let's take it off. So what we've done is we put that metal bar in, and what that's doing is it's sitting on these two buffers, rubber buffers that were there before on the seat. So we can now see what it's like to sit on. Okay, so you can instantly feel it is a bit higher, but it is pushing me back now towards the lumbar support as opposed to pushing me forward into the front of the tank. And I'm very comfortable. That is a massive difference, actually. Yes, that is a huge difference. Like I say, I'm pushed back into the lumbar support, but I'm now sat on the wider part of the seat, which before I rarely visited that because it was always trying to push me forward to the thinner part of the seat. So yeah, that's a massive difference. I do feel a bit higher. I am not quite flat-footing it now, but I'm still comfortable, and I still feel, I can do this and not feel I'm going to drop it. So that makes a big difference. My upper legs, my upper thighs feel better supported as well, and it helps me lift my legs up onto the pegs from standstill. You just spring your leg up there, and that's a big difference. Also, the back brake feels in a better position now. Now I'm just a little bit higher, a slightly different angle, and push back. The back brake feels more usable in a strange sort of way. Before I just preferred to use the front brake. It just seemed easier. Obviously I used both brakes, but you know what I mean. But now the back brake is in a much more accessible Feels more accessible. It's the best way I can put that. But comfort wise, what a difference. What a difference. Well, if this carries on like this, going really well, then well, fingers crossed, then I'm definitely on a winner here. Let's see how high the seat is now. Once I find a tape measure, you can never find a tape measure when you want one, can you? Right, so we are now, let's measure it where I measured it before. It is now 850 millimeters, 85 centimeters, whatever way you want to look at that. What a difference! It's lovely. I just want to sit on it again, actually. Yeah, it's such a difference. This is gonna this changes the whole bike for the better. Yeah, fantastic. Right, let's get on to the next stage. Right, okay, folks. So yeah, it's all looking good so far. So I know what you're all thinking. What's he gonna do about this gap in here? This here, and then this under here, because obviously it's lifted up a bit more now. So I have a solution for that, and I've been racking my brains for quite a while now before I even shot this video. And what I've done is I've got some car door trim here.